Well, welcome everyone. Looks like we just went live. I can see some people are jumping into the session with us, so we'll give it another minute or so before we start this Q&A. Usually for these types of online events, we have people tuning in from all different parts of the world, so it's always good courtesy to just give it a minute for everybody to connect. But just for fun, if you are already here, you can type in and let us know where you're watching from while we wait to get started. There's a little chat box at the bottom window here where you can type in your location. So let us know where you're at. Are you in the US? Are you international? Are you in space? You know, are you at the space station? Where are you? Bruce and I are both in Southern California, but we are a remote-based company, so we have lots of employees that stretch across the country. But yeah, it's always fun just to kind of see where everyone's tuning in from. Oh, wow, got a bunch of people coming in already. So we have people from Boston, Massachusetts, Lake Elsinore, Rochester, Minneapolis, Pakistan. Very nice. I got Nova Scotia, Pittsburgh. All right, here we go. We got Los Angeles, right around the corner. Bend, Oregon, Charleston, Orlando, Chicago, Columbus, New Jersey, Albany, Riverside. You got all kinds of people here. So Sandy, Utah. Sandy, Utah. I love that area. Baltimore, Maryland, Los Angeles again, Madison, Texas, Jacksonville, Dayton, Ohio. Been in West Africa. Dude, and then just keeps coming in. Nashville, Columbus, Canada. Tons and tons of people. So we had a lot of people register for this event. So it's always fun just to kind of see where everyone's tuning in from. And I always love just take a minute to recognize the technology that allows us to all interconnect with each other from different parts of the world. It's pretty amazing. And it's still like, we're so used to it, numb to the ability to Zoom with each other, but it's just still so wild. We're in different parts of the world, all talking at the same time. Pretty incredible. All right, well, thanks everybody for letting us know where you're joining. We very much appreciate it, and we are very excited because this is one of our first, if not the first, online Q&A session we have hosted for the public. We've done many Q&As in the past, but they usually are exclusive sessions. Like, for instance, we just did a Q&A 2 weeks ago for our online training members at SEOtraining.com. We even do them on a monthly basis, and I can share more with you about how you can be part of that later. But for now, welcome to our first public Q&A. So just a quick introduction. My name is Dylan Vibert. I'm the senior producer here at Bruce Clay Incorporated, and I'm going to be moderating today's Q&A. Of course, I'm joined by Bruce Clay himself, the founder of the company and the father of SEO. Hello, Bruce. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Very cool. All right. Now, many of you have already submitted your questions when you registered for the event, and we're just going to tell you right now, we were overwhelmed by the amount of questions we received. We literally received hundreds of SEO questions, and not to be the bearer of bad news here, there's just no way we're going to be able to answer every single one today. We would like to, and we're going to do the best we can to get to as many as we can here. On top of that, we want to make the most of this experience for those that took the time to be here. So we're going to be prioritizing the questions that are submitted to us here live. You're free to ask the same question you submitted before, but we just want to make this more of an interactive experience for everyone that took the time to be here. That being said, for all the questions we don't get to, we are working on a plan to get those answers out on our social media channels as well as our training platforms. So I would highly recommend you follow us on all of our Bruce Clay channels like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, among others, just to follow up. And again, we will do the best we can to get to as many as we can. Now, the way to ask your question is to type it in the Q&A box below on the Zoom window, and you want to submit it there. Not in the chat box where I just add you, say where you were from, because sometimes if you submit something there, it could get lost in the thread of conversations, and we don't want to lose them. The Q&A box is much better because it creates things as a line item, makes it much easier for me to be able to sort through everything. So you're not limited to one question, but again, we are trying to get to as many people as we can. So we may only have time for one question per person, but we'll, again, do our best. Alrighty, Bruce, do you have any thoughts before we jump into the first question?
No, I think that I'm going to try to actually keep my answers short, which if you've ever actually seen me present before, you realize I can't do that very well. So I'm going to do my best.
Okay. Very good. All righty. So what we're going to do is jump into the first questions here. I've already had a few people kind of come in. Let's see here. All right, Bruce, when you get a sec, let's get this going. All right. First question. All right. Any current guidance on E.A.T and YMLY, especially per the helpful content update?
Yeah, the helpful content, the keyword there is helpful. I've mentioned this in a few of my my other brief Q&A sessions. So understand that the concept of helpful is unique. It isn't a push a button and you can solve the problem, or pull a lever and you can solve the problem. It's a reasonably complex situation. So what we're really dealing with here is that after a while, where Google believes that they're giving the correct answer most of the time already, the best that Google can do is to influence the searcher into thinking that Google helps them more than anybody else. And they're looking at our websites to actually correspond to that. A big thing from an SEO point of view, helpful content seems to be, I'm not just repeating somebody else's content. I think that's what the initial shakeup was all about. There were a lot of people that are out, and in fact, there are people out still guessing as to what was in that. And then to make it worse, Google did another update on top of it, so that it was bang, bang, bang for updates. E.A.T, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, is basically saying, should Google trust me as an expert? And is there a group of my peers that also say I am an expert? And does Google believe I'm trusted, so that I should be number 1 and not number 30? Should I be the answer at the top of the list? And that's where E.A.T comes in. Now, E.A.T was part of the quality rater guidelines that Google publishes, and it certainly had a lot of examples and things like that. By the way, if you don't have it, look for the Google quality rater guidelines. Print it, memorize it. It's standard fare for SEOs. But the Google Quality Rater Guidelines are what is actually guiding E.A.T. Helpful to me is, here, this is what I think helpful is. If I don't even link to the content, it can't be very helpful. If nobody else shares it or links to that content, it isn't being helpful. This isn't go out and develop links to your content. This is write content that is actually shareable. Don't just throw content at Google, because Google is going to see that and they're going to know it isn't helpful, and that's going to hurt you. By the way, one of the things that Google has shifted from, in my opinion, is, in the beginning, it was an issue of quantity. And Google has almost entirely passed the threshold of I need more. They don't need more. They need better. So Google has shifted to being helpful, to being expert, to being authoritative, to being trusted, rather than to have more than your competition. And that shift has been going on for a very, very long time. If there is one thing you have to do, is you need to understand that quantity doesn't matter. It's all about quality. And if you do not have shareable content, it isn't helpful. And if you don't link to it, it certainly cannot be helpful. And if it is not expert, truly, if it isn't authoritative, if you don't have anybody linking to it that matters in your industry, give it up. And, you know, can you rank a new site? Of course you can. That's probably another question. But just understand, E.A.T, helpful content, it kind of goes together. It demonstrates that you're worthy of ranking, and that's what matters. I'll stop and go to another question.
Yes, again, we could talk about that a lot. We have a lot of reports and blogs about this very topic. So yeah, be sure to look into that on our sites. All right, next question, Bruce. What's your input on H1 through H6 tags?
Well, my experiments were that H1 through H4 are the only ones anybody cares about. H3 seldom does anything, but H1 and H2 are signals. The H1 should be the topic of a page. The H2 should be a subsection. Typically, I use it for fragment links. You ought to look up what a fragment is, or they're also called jump links. We use H1s and H2s throughout our site. You may have more than one H1. You definitely should have more than one H2 on a page. There's sections and subsections. It's like a table of contents. Can you do it? Yeah. Should you do it? Absolutely. Now with Google rewriting titles and Google rewriting and trying to figure out what you're actually about, because they now have and have for a while had this thing called passage indexing, where you actually can have a Google search that jumps to a fragment of your page. I think that H1s and H2s are vital. We use H1s and H2s, predominantly H2s, to tag things for featured snippets. If you want to rank in a featured snippet, I think that you definitely want to have an H2 for your featured snippet section. We believe it helps. But H1s, H2s, heading levels are really good. H3 is seldom used. 4, 5, and 6 are by specification. It is part of HTML, but unless you're writing something that's a book, I wouldn't think that you would ever get to anything beyond an H3, and we don't generally use H3s for anything. Where we find that people make mistakes with heading levels is that instead of it saying, this is what I'm writing about, and then writing about it, they use it for navigation. So everything in your navigation is an H2 or an H3. They use it, a lot of designers use it for formatting instead of doing the job of actually creating a format, a CSS file for that. They just use H3s. So you'll see lists of navigation items, H3, 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 H3. Folks, that basically is a waste. Nobody's going to pay any attention to it. And in fact, it takes it out of a lot of other areas. You could keep it in content. You could keep it in Anchor. You don't want to mess things up with 20,000 H3s on a page just because you have some links. So does it matter? Yes, years ago, I ran research and said it mattered. Moz ran research and said it mattered. A lot of people said it didn't matter. I think you'll find that in the industry, a lot of people have differing opinions. Does an H3 matter? Not as much as an H2. Does an H1 and an H2 matter? I always use them. I'd make a point of using them.
It's very much so. All right, let's move into another one, Bruce. For larger sites, what are your thoughts on AI content versus programmatic content?
If you're talking about AI content as some piece of software is going to go out and analyze content on the web, churn it up and regurgitate it. Google has already indicated that they have a battle on their hands. Google either shuts it down or that's all they're going to have in 5 years. And Google doesn't want that. What Google wants is creativity. They want not what's already been done, mixed and matched and churned and regurgitated. They don't want that. What Google wants is people who are inventive and certainly helpful, can express opinion. I don't think AI is very good at expressing opinion. the thing that comes to mind is AI also jumps to conclusions. I saw this really cool AI image where the keyword was salmon in the river. And what it was pieces of salmon like you see in the meat section at a grocery store floating in the water. That is not what was meant by salmon in the river. So I think we're 5 years away from AI really doing great. Now, having said that, 5 years ago, AI was pretty good at regurgitating other people's facts and cross-referencing them, and they could actually write a thesis for you, because a thesis is based often on quoted information and reference information and pointing to things where authorities have said it and you quote them. So AI for a long time has been able to do that level of work. It is able to do homework where you're stating something that is a fact. But AI will, in my opinion, it's going to take forever for AI to be creative. And Google is on a warpath against AI written content. So do you believe that Google with billions of dollars will solve that problem? Personally, yeah. I think eventually Google is going to be able to figure that out. And I don't want to be on the losing end of Google, and I don't want to be tagged by Google. By the way, a search engine never forgets. If they tag your site as being AI content, that impacts your whole site like forever. Would I ever use AI content? No. The most anybody should ever do is run something, look at it. After you eliminate all the garbage, maybe you have an outline. Maybe. I doubt that still. I don't think AI content is the right content. I think that creativity, expressing yourself, when people read things, people like reading opinions and people like stories. You're not going to get AI to tell a story. You're lucky you get AI at all to be even readable. Will it change over time? Sure. Will it be hard to detect? Perhaps. Are there pieces of software that detect AI content? Absolutely. And when I say absolutely, I mean absolutely. I've seen them. They analyze content and 90% accurate in identifying the pieces out of a great population that are AI. Very, very accurate. You have footprints, you have templates, you have things that are discernible. Should you use AI? I think no. I think that AI is good for maybe persona matching, for large population data analysis, but not for creating content by scraping other websites and acting like it's yours. I don't think that's going to ever survive Google.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had this question come up a few times. We've talked about this in the past, and again, like a lot of these questions aren't like foreign to us. We've seen them all before, and again, we do cover. I think we got this question in our last Q&A we did with our training members. So, again, we do go into it more depth there. So, all right, good questions. Let's move on. Is applying missing image dimensions worthwhile to fix?
No. And by the way, for WordPress, there are plugins that actually fix it for you. The answer mechanically is yes, it is. The way a page is rendered is when there is an image, if the size of the image is unknown, the rest of the page cannot be rendered until the image size is determined, typically by loading the image. So that means that the amount of time it takes for your page to actually, in a Core Web Vital world, to actually fully render is delayed because Google cannot reserve space for the image until it loads the image and determines the size. If you put height and width on the image, then Google can reserve the space and then render the rest of the page while the image is loading instead of waiting for the image to load. And that gives you a great amount of flexibility. Now, you can lazy load things. I'd use height. Well, my belief is you should heighten width every image. You should always help the browser render your page, because the perceived speed is really important, especially above the fold. So I would always use height and width on your images. But as I said, there are plugins for that in WordPress. And let's face it, you know what the height and width is. Now, on a mobile device, you have responsive. As long as you have a height and width specified for full size and everything is responsive, it works fine.
Absolutely. All right. Are adding keywords to a page URL still a valuable thing to do for search rank?
No.
Again.
The portion, okay, so years ago, the URL was moderately important. Then it became only the domain name, because spammers would have domain.com/keyword-keyword-keyword-keyword-keyword. And so they were keyword stuffing URLs with page names. And then Google eliminated the page URL portion and only kept the domain. Well, then Google realized that that was a problem as well. They came up years ago with something called the exact match domain penalty, which said if your domain is a particular keyword, not branded, but a particular keyword, like a product name, a product type, hammer, if your domain name was an exact match and everybody linked to you with the anchor text of hammer, Google went through the process of creating a penalty that would penalize the sites that had exact match domains. Now, about a year ago, it appeared as if Google lessened that filtering, and some exact match domains are showing up. But it appears as if the ones that are showing up are legacy exact match domains. In other words, they've been registered 10 years ago, 15 years ago, long ago. And they also are not keyword spammed with anchor text. So as long as you don't overdo it and link to your domain name with only anchor text that is that particular keyword, I think that you actually can get away more so today than before with an exact match domain name. Now, I have sort of a concept that if you have a copyright on that particular name, it helps, because it certainly implies that that is a product name or a brand or a company, and that somebody has put some muscle behind it. But overall, I would say no. You still have the keyword-keyword-keyword stuffing going on, and I don't think it helps very much. I do think that Google does look at it. Now, in the case of a blog, I think we all know that the URL is the H1 in many cases. So it isn't clear that the URL is actually what's helping you, as opposed to the H1 is slightly more important. Or if the H1 and the URL match, maybe that is slightly more important. But Google is still sensitive to spammers. It is too easily spammed. I don't think the URL is, other than perhaps a tiebreaker. The main name might be more important, but the rest of the URL is hardly important.
All right, great questions, everybody. Let's keep the train moving here. What is the best way to optimize an e-commerce category page? Category description? If so, the length, placement on page, do you add helpful FAQs?
Okay, so Google has indicated you can overdo an FAQ. So just understand an FAQ is not designed to be 500 of them on a page. That isn't, Google doesn't want to see that. What happens is Google's actually indicated it creates too much noise. So don't overdo FAQs. An FAQ belongs on a content page, and it's a few, handful maybe at most. The category pages in an e-commerce environment can be created dynamically, but they should not be amputated. They should be the kind of thing you can drill down to. And they have to be the kind of thing that once you actually have a product, the breadcrumb drills up to them. So yeah, I would put in a category page where you have collections. And like all my bar glasses, I have a page which is just full of bar glasses, different types, different, styles. Those are glasses. I can understand you'd have a page because a lot of people don't know the name of bar glasses, or they don't know it's a Scotch glass versus a martini glass or a what have you. Although I think most of us know that a beer glass is a beer glass. But fundamentally, a category page is a useful page, very useful. And I encourage people to do it in e-commerce. E-commerce generally supports it. I would definitely do it. I would absolutely, though, make sure that there's a prominent link from the homepage down through that hierarchy. It has to be parent, child, grandchild, great-great-grandchild as a hierarchy without amputations as you go. I've seen a lot of sites that had category pages where nothing pointed to them other than their children. That isn't a good structure. It certainly violates our siloing structure guidelines. I would make sure that if you're using category pages, that you don't fabricate a lot of content on it. Google knows what a category page is. It's an image and a link and their related products. Google knows that. They're totally okay with it. But if you keyword stuff it, if you overdo it, that's a problem for Google.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move into another one here, Bruce. How important is accurate non-decorative image alt text description, and what empirical evidence demonstrates this weighting?
Say the question one more time.
How important is accurate non-decorative image alt text description, and what empirical evidence demonstrates this weighting?
All right, so there's multiple answers to that. American with Disabilities Act, Rule 508, basically says that the alt tag has to be descriptive of the image. Otherwise, you're in violation of the American disabilities laws. And we've seen companies get fines of up to $3 million. So to me, having an alt tag descriptive of the image is the goal and is the requirement. Now, the way you get an image to actually show up in image search, it's a combination of the file name, the alt tag, the caption, inbound anchor text, and is the text actually used in the image? The last one most people don't even think about. If it is an image and there are words in the image, then those words will help the image rank, right? So for instance, if you go and do a search for SEO training and go to images, you're going to see a whole bunch of images, and virtually all of them have SEO training in the image. Because everybody knows that the way to, if you're an SEO, the way to get an image to rank is URL, captions, alt tags, inbound links, and now they know that Google OCRs the image and looks for words. So those are the things for image search. Image search sometimes shows up in the Google search results. Sometimes one image is selected for a featured snippet. I would say that they're all important. But the American with Disabilities Act is what requires that the alt tag be corresponding to the image. If you have an image of a Ford Mustang and the alt tag says, buy your next Ford Mustang at Billy Bob's House of Used Cars, that's stuffing. That's a violation, and you're going to have a problem with it. The ADA is there's an army of lawyers out there totally happy to sue you. Not to pick on lawyers, but lawyers look for business, and ADA violations are big business in the millions. So is it important? Yes. Do you need to do it for image indexing? I believe so. You need to be accurate in that the content of the alt tag matches appropriately the content of the image. I'd say absolutely. And I think that's a requirement.
Very good. Alrighty, we have a lot of questions here, but there's one that I'm going to selectively push to the front. Do you offer any exclusive training for businesses and SEO teams? This is a perfect setup for us because although we were saving this for the end, I figure we can squeeze it in right now. We can jump back into more Q&A right after. But to answer your question, we do have training with our Bruce Clay SEO training membership program. So just real quick, before we jump into more questions, I want to tell you a little bit about this program because for those who are interested in learning more about SEO, this membership program is the kind of experience you are looking for. Now, Bruce has been training thousands of students all across the globe for decades, and he's been a key presenter at major search conferences like SMX, Affiliate Summit, and many others. If you couldn't tell already, he seems to kind of know what he's talking about when it comes to SEO. He's won multiple awards. He's been helping countless students over the past 26 years improve their SEO. So with all this knowledge that he has here, he commissioned our team to help him produce an online training experience that allows users to not only learn the ins and outs of search marketing, but also allows you to stay up to date on what is happening in the world of SEO. So what it is an online training program that's a lot more than just your standard SEO training course. No, this is a membership program that will give you access to tons of up-to-date SEO resources at your disposal. We didn't want to just create one video training course of Bruce just talking about SEO. You can kind of get that anywhere. What we wanted to do was build an entire program that gives you tons of SEO resources that are up to date and constantly evolving as SEO does. So what comes with the membership program? Well, if you sign up to become a member, you're going to have access to a few things. First and foremost, you're going to have access to our entire SEO training course presented by Bruce. Of course, a training course wouldn't be anything without an actual video course talking about SEO. So we do have the standard video training course, but this part of the membership alone is over 15 hours long and broken up into 12 sections that cover multiple SEO topics. We cover things like SEO concepts, linking strategies, content, mobile SEO, best practices, and the most popular subject that we always cover is siloing. There's tons more here that we also cover in the course, but it's all pre-recorded, so you can take the course at your own pace. Now, the training course is our main feature that we do offer here. Again, it's over 15 hours long. But like we mentioned, this isn't the only thing we wanted to offer our members because there's lots of courses that you can probably find online. We still think ours is the best, over 15 hours long, but we wanted to include a lot more in this program. You're also going to have access to other training videos that we have in the program that are separate from the training course. One of them is what we call mini courses, which are essentially deep dive videos that we have produced where we take a particular SEO subject and we kind of jump into the weeds to help you better understand it. Another set of training videos we also produce is our Ask Us Anything series, where we answer the questions you have submitted to us as members. It's not a Q&A per se. It's more of a you submitted in and we kind of produce a video exclusively talking about that subject, whereas a Q&A is more interactive and a live experience like this. Now, both of these video series, the mini courses and the Ask Us Anything, they allow you an access to like a library of knowledge of popular SEO subjects They're very beneficial to anybody wanting to improve their search marketing. So what else do we get? If videos aren't your thing, we have plenty of other written resources available to you. For instance, we have another cool feature that allows you to download our ebooks. They're very, very extensive and provide you with a thorough overview of what to do on a particular SEO topic. But let's say you want more interaction when learning about SEO. There's also our discussion forums where members can post and share SEO topics to discuss with other members. We wanted to present a way for members to communicate with each other because we believe some of the best pieces of information come from those who are also still learning. So it's kind of an ecosystem of people talking about SEO. So you don't always have to rely on us to give you the answers. Sometimes you can get it from somebody else who's already dealt with that. And if all that is not enough, we also have our own branded set of SEO tools you can use on your own site. Our SEO toolset is a wonderful resource that allows you to analyze your site for all kinds of SEO improvements. Now, technically, the SEO toolset is separate from the membership program, which is why it's got its URL here, seotoolset.com. So you can purchase it without the membership program, but you can access it for free if you sign up for the training membership program. And we think it's much better to have a 2-for-1 deal here, wouldn't you say? But yeah, it's a great resource here. Definitely a lot of cool stuff that comes with it. And lastly, as we mentioned kind of earlier, is that you'll be able to join our monthly Q&A calls, Bruce. Every month we hold a Q&A session just like this one, and you can ask your questions live. Again, we just mentioned we did it 2 weeks ago, and it's a lot more exclusive and allows you more direct access to Bruce. Because right now, again, we're getting inundated with all of these questions coming in, but our training membership program allows these Q&As to be a lot more of an exclusive experience, so we kind of get more in depth. Yeah, and Bruce is kind of cutting his answers short, but sometimes he'll spend like 10 minutes answering one question in depth. So again, if you want to get more answers, you'll have to sign up to become a member. How do you do that? Well, what you want to do is head over to seotraining.com, create an account, select your payment plan, and you're all set. It takes less than 5 minutes to sign up and become a member and gain access to all these great resources I just shared with you. And best of all, because you took time out of your day to be here with us, which we very much appreciate, we are offering you a special discount to sign up for the membership program by October 31st. That's Halloween for those who are in the States here. So the end of the month. If you go to seotraining.com right now and sign up using the promo code BruceClay2022, you'll get a $300 discount. Now that promo code only applies to our annual membership plan, which is our best offer because you're saving money overall than more than our monthly and quarterly plans. So if you want to save a ton of money by signing up, use that promo code for the annual plan. Bruce Clay 2022, all one word, no spacing. But this discount is only available, again, until October 31st at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be sure to sign up soon to get that discount. Again, if you don't want to sign up for the annual membership plan, you can still sign up for our monthly and quarterly memberships, but you don't get the discount. So the choice is yours. It's a good deal, folks, and there's no better person to be learning SEO from than Bruce. As you can tell, he's got tons of SEO knowledge to share. So this is a great opportunity to spend more time and kind of learn how to improve your site. We currently have a 95% user satisfaction rating from our members, and we continue to see more and more people joining our program. And lastly, again, we don't deny that you could probably find plenty of other SEO training courses out there, ones that are probably even free. I can't tell you how many times I've seen YouTube thumbnails where it's like, learn SEO in an hour. It's a joke. It's a joke. But it might be the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that any SEO expert worth their salt is just going to give out all of their SEO knowledge for free. And even if they did do that, the chances are their training courses are a one and done deal that do not reflect how SEO changes over time. I mean, Google's constantly announcing things. They just changed the name of their, well, it was previously Google Webmaster Guidelines, and I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head, but it's stuff like this is happening all the time. And this is what the benefit of being part of the membership program is that we're constantly refreshing our content so that you are staying up to date. I don't know about you, but a training course that's like only temporarily relevant, the ones you would find on YouTube, isn't really useful for any long-term growth. You won't get nearly as much insight and interaction as we can provide you within the membership program. So if you want the gold standard, go to seotraining.com, sign up to become a member, and use our promo code and invest in the long term. All right. You want to invest in the experts to help grow your business. Sound good? All right. Enough of my spiel here. Let's jump back into more questions.
Well, I want to actually jump in on that question still a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's Google Search Essentials.
Mm-hmm.
And Google changes the name every 20 years, whether they need to or not, just to confuse everybody and to make everybody rewrite all their content.
Mhm.
Every SEO is out there saying, oh, it's not Webmaster Tools anymore.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, it's cool that we were able to cover this now instead of at the end. But
Mhm.
fundamentally, we're doing a Q&A right here.
Mhm.
We have a year of recorded Q&A sessions like this at an hour each that are part of training.
Right.
So if you like understanding things because they're explained the way we're explaining them during this particular webinar, we have a year of that. And I want to emphasize that the training isn't just take a PowerPoint or read a book. Everybody learns a different way. Some people find it difficult to not be engaged. And, hopefully you're engaged with this particular webinar, but the ask a question approach to training, I think, is vital. And it is a very large integral part of our training.
Mhm.
And that's why we committed to doing an hour a month. The cost of the whole project is worth an hour of Q&A time.
Mhm.
That's a very high value SEO expense. So yeah, sorry to jump in, but I would say thank you for pulling this earlier, but thank you for giving me a soapbox here. You almost can't do SEO without understanding it changes constantly.
Mhm.
And a membership site is the only way to take training.
Mhm.
You can't do it once and done.
Mhm.
And that's what we're offering. That's why I built it the way I did, and hopefully everybody can try it. You can sign up for a month if you want, and then drop. I mean, not a big deal.
Mhm.
It's here for the members.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead. Next question.
No worries. All right. Yeah. Very cool stuff. Again, sign up there and see the information there on the slide. All right. Let's get to more questions. Do you have any tips for creating services or service pages for multiple locations? For example, my business has 4 services across 4 cities. How can we grow our SEO presence for the same services in these different locations?
Well, okay, so I'm going to assume they're captive sites and you have total control over them. Now, in order to actually have them be separate, you would actually have to have physical street addresses and locations and things like that. Assuming you have all those things, you just simply can optimize it. Now, Google does not like microsites. So just understand if your approach is to go get a subdomain and build 4 subdomains and each one has 4 products, you could. Google doesn't particularly care for those. The value of each diminishes. You've separated out the non-existent link juice. Google has basically said don't use the word link juice anymore. All of these different things are at play. The right way to do, certainly while you're smaller than 300 sites or 500 sites, or it could be any size, would be to have subdirectories for each location and then emphasize the actual services rendered, because you said there's 4 locations, you could have 4 subdirectories, one for each location, but the services should be at the corporate site, fully descriptive, everybody benefits from it. You become an expert by having depth of content, not splitting it 4 ways. I would consolidate under one main site and have subdirectories for the locations. Now, having said that, I also haven't looked at your site. And there are certainly corner conditions or edge conditions which may be extenuating circumstances. They may be in different countries. They may be in different states. They may have different laws. They may have any number of things. It may be a franchise or a license operation instead of a corporate store. So this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of a thing. The right thing to do would be to evaluate and come up with the right answer. And even if you said, all right, that is the right answer, we want one site, concentrate expertise, concentrate the link juice, have the subdirectories for the locations. Even if you say that is the way I'm going to do it, somebody ought to figure it out, because you're going to be dealing with siloing, you're going to be dealing with internal link structures, you're going to dealing with, you want the location to rank for their region, but you're going to have concentrations of content at the corporate level. This has to be managed, and that's a project. That's not a Q&A answer. But yeah, it can be done, and I would 90% of the time it's probably a single site.
Mhm. Right. All right, moving along. I have changed the name of Breadcrumb from home to a word I want my pages to rank for. Do I need to do any GSE or other form of indexing after the change to update Google? Yeah, FYI, this is tips from you. This is a tips from you.
No. If you're using a breadcrumb for your top of page, and the first link goes to home, and it's a text link, and it's a very important link. So it should be a keyword, unless you're selling homes. But if you're not selling homes, you don't want to use the word home to link to your homepage. You're sending the wrong message. Use a keyword that would be relevant. And we've run a lot of experiments, and you can influence the ability of the homepage to rank by doing that. Having said that, there's schema that goes with the breadcrumb. So you don't just change a label, you might need to change the schema. And that could matter. So, but usually, if you do the breadcrumb correctly and completely, then you're just fine. Use a keyword appropriate to the homepage, which is an umbrella term for your whole site. It'll work out just great.
Okay, all right, let's move on here. How would you improve SEO ranking on a government agency recruitment site?
Well, years ago, Google had said that no TLDs, top level domains, have priority. So edu, .gov, .mil, .org, .net, all of those are considered equal within Google. So I would suspect that you have to treat it just like any other domain. It doesn't have inherently, by its TLD, a benefit. Now, having said that, it is also very likely that government level and perhaps some EDU level activities, if it's core to the main site, have a higher trust than other sites. So they may have a technical advantage at a trust level. Expertise, they're typically factual. They don't typically express any opinion. As Men in Black said, those in the FBI don't have a sense of humor. They don't appreciate it. They can't do anything with it. The government is just going to be factual. Does it rank above non-government sites? Maybe inherently. But it's all content. So I would structure it just like I would structure any other site. And I would hope, and I can't guarantee it, but I would hope that maybe if I'm trying to rank my government site, that I am very, very careful that it's accurate and beneficial and helpful. And I'd follow all the best practices, and I do SEO just like on any other site. There's no magic button.
All right. Yeah, for sure. And we are getting multiple questions that are asking about the recording of this webinar. Yes, there will be a reposting of this. It should be live tomorrow. You'll be getting an email invite for the link. So be sure to be looking out for that. But yes, to answer everybody's question about that, there will be a replay of this, so everyone has access. All right. Next question, Bruce. Is link building still relevant for SEO? Any concrete suggestions for acquiring links from big, well-known online publishers and medical/healthcare verticals? Thank you.
All right. So depending on how you interpret the many, many things that Google says over the eons, Google has indicated that it is quality, not quantity, when you're looking at the value of inbound links. And I think that's one of the reasons that Google basically said to avoid the term link juice. Juice isn't appropriate if it's on a quality level. Juice is appropriate if you're squeezing a zillion oranges, but it isn't appropriate if it's quality. And Google has certainly shifted more towards expertise, authority, trust, the quality and usefulness and helpfulness and shareable nature of your content. So when you're dealing with links, the same applies. It is the authority of the site that links to you, not the number of them. Now, I believe, this is just me, maybe a lot of others, but it's certainly me. I believe that Google has actually figured out how to have sentiment and value associated with PageRank transfer. And PageRank is still alive. They don't give you the numbers because it was being cheated on, but and sold, but it's still alive. And if you have negative sentiment, you actually lose points. If you're not trusted, you lose points. So PageRank, I think now can logically tie into trust, very big trust scores. And I think that there's a synergism between a lot of the different things that are in the algorithm, to the point where, yes, if you have no links, having links matters a lot. If you have a lot of links, more links may not matter at all. However, I think that the quality of your links is ultimately what matters. And throwing more content at Google, even on remote sites, and those sites link to you, but they're garbage pages. They're just, nobody ever visits them. Nobody ever links to them. Nobody says they're useful. I think that the useful nature of the page that links to you means that link is not useful, because it's not a useful page linking to you. As soon as we start thinking about the value of the page linking to you, is it useful, and applying that to the link, we're going to have a different perception of links. And nobody's doing it. I don't understand it. You know, being really useful means that everybody finds your page useful, and the value of a useful page linking to you makes that link better, makes it more valuable. And I think that it's going to be an issue of usefulness, shareability, expertise, authority, and trust. All of that is going to apply to linking. Now, do I go out and build links? No. What do? I build content worth linking to, and then I tell people about it. That's social media. I tell people about it. And by the way, you should pay attention. I have my own account on LinkedIn. I post, by the way, you should all go connect to me. I post on LinkedIn, and some number of people are actually going to link to me. I think that's useful. We have our corporate sites, profiles, where people can link to the corporate site. And when we do a blog post, it goes out to 20,000 people. I've got 23,000 connections on LinkedIn. We post things, they see it, or could see it. It should show up in their notifications. So I'm Bruce Clay. Connect to me. At this point, we build content worth linking to, and then we tell people about it. That's the way that works. And by the way, this is a pet peeve of mine, so I'm just going to mention it for a second. If I write a page and put it on somebody else's site, maybe they get 100 visitors and the link to me sends me one. So I get one visitor, 1%, maybe 2% of the people that visit that page come to visit me. I get 2 visitors for my effort. If I put it on my own site, I get all 100 visitors. But more importantly, I can get 100 sites to link to me, right? I'm not putting a piece of content on one site. I'm putting a piece of content as a hub that 100 sites can link to if they find it shareable. So be useful, put it on your site, and you will attract links. You earn your links. That's the way it has to work. You don't get to buy them. You don't get to barter for them. You don't get to pay somebody to put a link on a, by the way, Google indicated that was a violation of terms of service. If you pay a blogger to write a link article and post it elsewhere, taken to excess, you're going to maybe have a problem. So we put content on our own site. And for those of you that don't know, I don't accept ads and I don't accept link requests and I don't accept blog articles that people want to send to me. Our stuff is our stuff. We express our opinion. We tell you your baby's ugly if your baby's ugly, folks. I'm not here trying to appease some investor or some buddy buying ads. It is what it is. And that's what you need if you're going to try to be learning from somebody. But in my experience, building links, you're wasting money. I'd build the content, put it on my own site, and then tell everybody about it. You're going to get much more traffic and much higher value from it.
Absolutely. I know we're at the top of the hour, but Bruce and I talked before this. I think we're going to go a little bit over. I think probably go like till about 11:20ish, or at least our time, another 20 minutes or so. So we'll get a few more questions in for those who are still sticking around. Thanks for all the questions, everybody. I have pages on my site that are not very important and they have poor web core vitals. Does it affect my whole site rankings or just those pages with web core vitals?
Okay, so the score is by page. But Google has indicated there's 3 layers. There's the whole site, there's silos or cluster areas within your site by theme, and then there's individual pages. And there's scores at all of those levels. The quality is site-wide. So if you have terrible design and you're doing the same thing site-wide, you're contaminated site-wide. But usually pages can be segregated for core web vitals. The thing that can't is speed. Speed is a quality that is site-wide. It's an algorithmic variable. Even though it shows up on Page Speed Insights and various, GT metrics and all these nice reports, speed is not necessarily core web vitals. It just happens to be on the same reports because it's vital. Yeah, I would say speed is the biggest impact. The rest of it is certainly by page, but overall it does, in my opinion, it does impact your overall site scores. And by the way, this is a strange thing, but overall, my observation is that the dial on Core Web Vitals is still being turned up 1 bit at a time. It's not done. I believe that Core Web Vitals is week to week, month to month, becoming increasingly important as a part of the algorithm. I believe that. I could be wrong. As the saying goes, I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. You can think about that for a while. But I could be wrong, but I really don't think Core Web Vitals is done being played out. I think that it's quieter. I think that people aren't thinking enough about it. I think that, it's not mainstream anymore. I think it's in the background, but I believe it's still being played. And I think the score is still being turned up. The volume is still going up. I think you need to pay attention to Core Web Vitals. I think certainly it's a tiebreaker. Think about it this way. I do a query, I get 10 million results. That top 10, here's on page 1, they're separated by hairs. I mean, there's not a lot of difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Out of 10 million, you'd have to think the algorithm, doesn't have cut it with an axe kind of an approach. You have very precise differences to cause somebody to rank 1 or 2. And even by region, I find that it fluctuates. You rank 1 here, you rank number 2 there, you rank number 4 there, and then tomorrow they're all different. And by the way, once you get into the top 5, it is a little bit volatile. So, you gotta chill a little bit once you're there, because you can't expect anything to be consistent in the Google world. However, overall, I think Core Web Vitals is still at play. I think it's still important. I think you still have to do it. I think that the volume has been turned down socially, that not too many people are talking about it. And I think that the volume is being turned up algorithmically. That's my opinion. You don't need to agree, but that's my opinion.
Right. All right. Again, thanks for everybody. I get people are commenting and suggesting they have to tune out of the meeting. They said thank you. So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to keep going here, as many questions as possible. And again, we will be reposting this just as a reminder tomorrow. So everybody should be looking out for that email. Next question. URL stuffing is bad, but is having your main keyword in the URL useful?
Well, it certainly would be useful to a human seeing the URL. I personally think that bruceclay.com/employment is a really good idea. I think /contact us is a really good idea. /about is a really good idea. Because people kind of expect that kind of nomenclature for a website. Now, that does not mean that if you don't do it, you're evil. You can have QW, ERTY if you want. You can have whatever you want as your URL. The thing to remember about a URL is that technically it's like a street address. It's just a locator. It isn't descriptive usually of anything. It used to be. It was spam to death. Now it's not so much, right? Maybe a tiebreaker, but yeah, I wouldn't say keyword stuffing helps anything in a URL environment.
Got it. Okay, move on to another one. This one's a little bit longer. We're a family of brands and working to migrate our legacy sites to a single website. I'd like to use schema to tag non-product pages to help maintain SEO juice with the brand names themselves and to be able to pull reporting by brand from the schema tag. Recommendations on how to do this with schema markup, since brand is only applicable for product schema.
Correct. By the way, a lot of the schema doesn't really apply site-wide, so you got to be careful where you use it, because sometimes Google's just going to totally ignore the wrong schema on the wrong page. And Google has said that. All right. This takes a little bit more study, I think. Unfortunately, it does. Now, we've had many cases where people have consolidated both brands, franchises, licensees, or any number of things. 17 different regions became one website. I mean, things like that. We've got a lot of experience with that. It's just a process. The problem you run into is if you own the brand domain and there's not a lot of people using multiple of your brands, it is not clear that it's to your advantage to merge them into one domain. Now, I don't have an answer for you for your specific case, but it isn't clear that that would be of benefit to you. Whereas if I have 5 brands and there's an 80% overlap in my customers where people who buy A always buy B and C and D, then there is a definite synergism if you can consolidate them because you aggregate juice that doesn't exist, you aggregate PageRank, you aggregate access, you have single sign-on is no longer that hard, you have the ability to upsell right at the cart. You have a lot of advantages to combining things if there's a lot of overlap. But if there is virtually no overlap, it is seldom, in my opinion, it is seldom the case for non-overlapping products to be consolidated, especially if they are each independently major brands. That's a little bit harder in a franchise operation because usually you franchise by brand and therefore consolidation is ugly. But if it is company owned and they're all your properties and you want to consolidate, it's a business call. And the technical component, it may be gruesome and it may be ugly and it may be hard and it may be time consuming, and there may be all sorts of hidden, unknown gotchas, which by the way there are. But it can be done. On our website, we have migration checklists and things like that. And even with a migration checklist, you've probably never seen one like that before. So there's always going to be boundary conditions, corner conditions that are going to raise their ugly head. You just can't afford to mess it up. Out of everything you're doing, consolidation of multiple websites into one could be killer. You can have a near-death experience if you do it wrong. So you just got to be careful about it.
Okay, perfect. Let's get to another one here for you, Bruce. With Google's latest core update in September and previous in May, has Core Web Vitals and site speed as it pertains to Core Web Vitals become a stronger ranking factor?
Similar to the other question. I think it's increasingly becoming a stronger ranking factor. The temperature is still being turned up. I would consider all of that content as important.
Got it. All right. Just got this question. How does Google react to redirected URLs? For instance, URLs that are in a company's portfolio and redirected to their main URL.
Say that again.
How does Google react to redirected URLs? For instance, URLs that are in a company's portfolio and redirected to their main URL.
It's a regular redirect. I don't think there's any difficulty at all for it.
Okay.
Any page can be redirected. The problem you have is if you, let's say you had a site and you had some pages and you obsoleted the pages and you didn't know what to do with them because you didn't have a good replacement. So you just decide to redirect to your home page. In some cases, if the keywords are mismatches, the redirects may not pass much importance. In other cases, it might be perfect. I think it's a case-by-case basis. Now, redirects pass multiple things. A redirect will pass a penalty. So when you're saying you're going to redirect a page with a penalty or a site, or you're going to be merging sites, if one of the sites is low trust and you merge it into your main site or even redirect it into your main site, you're redirecting to low trust. It isn't just PageRank or flow that is changed. Google is going to redirect value from that particular page and redirect that into your main site. So it's very possible that you could be poisoning yourself if you do it wrong. But Under normal circumstances, you can redirect anybody. I personally believe it's always better to redirect, even to a home page, always better than, when I say always, I'll tell you the exception, but always better to redirect somewhere than nowhere. A 404 is not, to me, a very, very good user experience. And that is where you don't redirect. You never redirect your 404 page to your homepage.
Correct.
I've seen Google mess it up too many times and drop your whole site from the index. So don't redirect your 404 page to your homepage.
Right.
But all the other pages are fair game.
Got it. All right, let's get as many as we can here. We have a client who provides IT services, and their staff works virtually from their homes and work in the same geographic location. The owner does not want to post their home address publicly, or post their home addresses publicly. So we listed them as a service area in their Google business profile. However, we noticed that they are never shown in Google's 3-pack, and their ranking there is far behind other businesses that don't have any Google customer reviews. Any suggestions on how to improve their ranking in local search?
Yeah, you're going to have to actually optimize the Google directory. Now, in my particular case, I have maintained one physical location. I used to have 12 suites. I now have 2. I've got a warehouse full of furniture. If anybody needs to buy a chair, let me know. I have more chairs than you can imagine. 12 suites to 2, conference room shut down. Everybody's working at home.
Yeah.
If you want to say that you have a service area, because they don't, people don't go to their homes, they go to the service location. To me, that is fine. The problem would be that you haven't correctly optimized or fully optimized the location within the Google directories. So I would change that. Start with, do you see a pin? When you search in that area, does a pin show up on the Google map? Do you show up at all? And if the answer is no, you can't get found in the local pack, then you may have a problem. Now, there's 2 solutions. If it is a local service thing, you can get into Google Local Services. You would want to look at that. Look, that doesn't show up on every Google query, but Google Local Services. If you're into the local pack, you can buy ads in local pack, separate from pay-per-click ads. Basically it's a pay-per-click ad, but only within the Google local pack. And I would certainly go through the process of figuring that out.
Got it. All right, let's get maybe 2 more here. We use accordions for UX design for product descriptions. There is conflicting information from Google whether Google's bot reads them. Are they good? Does Google read them?
Right, the answer is probably. The technical answer is there is something called a document object model. It is a sort of interim page layout map. So what will happen is the spiders will come in and they'll build this document object model just as if a browser were fetching your page. They have to figure out where's the logo, where's this and where's that and how much of this. And they build basically a map of what the screen would look like. A document object model logically is the same thing. Think of it as the same thing. That means that if it is in the DOM, Google can spider it. So tabs, if you have tabs, all that content is part of the document object model. Now, if the way you designed it is that the dynamic content does not load unless there is a action of clicking on a tab or moving the mouse. If some sort of user intervention is required for the content to load, then the answer is it's not part of anything a search engine spider would see. They don't move the mouse. They don't get to do that. So if it's part of the DOM, yes. If it's not part of the DOM, too bad. The way to see it is go to your cached version and see what's included. If it's in the cache, it's part of the document object model. If it's not in there and it's dynamically loaded, then you may have a problem.
Okay, let's do one more question, Bruce. We have been building silo structures within our website and linking to blog pages that are topically related. Should we actually take the step of siloing our blog itself?
Yes and no. Depends on how many different silos there are. Now, the way you can do it is you can take the blog categories and make sure that the categories, for the most part, align with your silos, like SEO or PPC or content. And if the categories align with the silos, then you can actually have a SEO blog on your site that is filtered by that category. So you could silo the blog into an appropriate category multiple times and render it there. So could you? Yes. Would it help? Probably. Depends upon the amount of content you have in the main sites already as to whether this will add. And if it's low quality, you don't want to do it. So if your blog is just a whole bunch of blogs with cat pictures, I would not silo that to anything, certainly. But in like this entire webinar, I'm giving the answers I believe fit 99% of the world. But there's always going to be, but what if, you have this and they're left-handed and it's a holiday. I mean, you can go crazy with some of this stuff. There's always going to be it depends answer for most questions. But I think that most of the questions we've been asked are pretty straightforward answers. Some of them, okay, it depends. Some of them, sorry.
Yeah.
Some of them it depends. But overall, if you took your blog, put it into the silos, filter it by category, it would be additional content within that specific area of expertise, and it could very easily contribute to your ability to rank for that keyword because you're adding weight at an expert level by that particular navigation structure.
Right. All right. Yeah. And then, again, like we get this a lot when we host our own Q&A for our members, because the questions that come in sometimes we always say, try to avoid that it depends, because if you're asking a thing about your particular site, it's like, we might have to take a look at it and see what's going on. But for the most part, like what Bruce is saying, a lot of these are kind of more high level, broad questions that we can kind of speak to. But again, like we highly, highly recommend that you go to SEOtraining.com, because we have these Q&As on a monthly basis. We're going to host the next one on November 3rd, which is, I think, like 2 weeks from tomorrow, I believe. So we're going to be doing this again, and we do this every month with our members. It's a very great resource available to you. And again, it's not just like we do once a month, you ask your question. We have SEO experts waiting in the wings for any time you want to submit a question or have us help with your site. We're happy to help. So make sure you go to SEOtraining.com and use that promo code BruceClay2022. That's only good till October 31st, so the end of the month. And you get a great discount, and you're gonna have tons of resources, and you can join our next Q&A. So again, like, I want to thank everybody for being here. This was a great, fun experience. A lot of great questions. I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to get to all of them. We definitely have a long list here of ones that we're going to basically see what we can do about following up with them. I had some people reach out and ask if there's a way that they could see some of these questions being answered later. And yes, we're working on a plan with that. So I'd recommend going to our social channels. We have teams of people that are constantly working on these things. So you'll be seeing more from us soon. Again, you will get the follow-up replay of this whole webinar on the Q&A. So again, if you didn't your question answered, we will do our best to get out or reach out to you and see if we can answer that for you. But again, lots of fun. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Bruce, any parting words before we wrap up?
No, I always enjoy doing the Q&A, especially when I have no clue what the question was going to be. It's always a lot of fun for me. But generally, the kinds of things we've just covered often are the kind of things we do every single month at SEOtraining.com. And I really enjoy that kind of a session. This should be fun. This should be fun. If you want to know what's going on, you just follow us. Best way to do it.
Yeah, follow us, go to SEOtraining.com, reach out to us. This is what we do for business. This is what we like to do. And just as a quick comment, Bruce, people were saying you should raffle off all the office chairs that you have left over. If you want to get rid of them. Free chair if you sign up right away. There you go.
Folks, I want to make sure you understand this. I closed down 10 suites when I sent people to work at home. 10 suites. You have never seen so many desks and chairs in conference rooms. And I mean, I have a warehouse piled high with this stuff.
Yeah.
If you came to me and said, Bruce, okay, we want some side chairs, just the side chairs. How many do you have? The answer is like 60. Side chairs. I mean, like, really?
Right. Yeah.
I could.
We should really do a promo where it says if you sign up to become a member, we'll give you a free chair because we have so many.
Well, you have to come and pick it up, but yeah, we can.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, more chairs for you. All right, everybody. Again, this was a lot of fun. We really appreciate it. We hope to see you as a member. We hope to see you at the next Q&A session. Be sure to go sign up. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about it. We're here to to answer them. So again, have a good rest of your day, your evening, and we hope to see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.